A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. I am the aforementioned Ironhead. This fellow over here, if you're watching us on any of the various platforms, he would be on the right-hand side of the screen. That is the Dear Goon. How are you, Goon?
What's up, Ed? How you doing, brother?
Not too shabby. I will say the further you get away from a traumatic experience, it's still there. It never goes away,
All
but
right, well,
you can cope a little better.
you'll like me then right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I rewatched the game on the Big Ten and 60 yesterday,
Okay.
and I taped it and I rewound a bunch of it. I mean, I didn't go like the Land and Tangwell, like break the film down type of stuff,
Yeah.
but I got a
Yeah.
few takeaways. To use a quote from a legendary man known as Joe Paterno, you're not as bad as you think you are when or not as good as you think you are when you win, not as bad as you think you are when you lose. This is a very big case of that right now. I'm telling you, Oregon is a lot better than people are giving. I mean, they're very good. They're very, very good, and they're young. So they're going to make some waves in the next few years. Their quarterback did not make one mistake in that game. Not one. And it was not for a lack of effort from Penn State trying to force that mistake, but not getting any pass rush, no sacks. They had a couple penalties, I guess. But when they needed the play, he made it. We were trying to get a big play on defense, and they were just not giving it up. Our mistakes on offense are fixable. Very fixable when you play UCLA and Northwestern the next couple weeks. So let's get out there, get out of our funk, and let's go back to the basics, in my opinion. Of just, we're supposed to have this really good offensive line, tight ends, running backs, and quarterback. I would shrink the playbook, shrink all the bull crap that they were trying to do throughout that game the other day, and just line up and play football, baby.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there, and it's a good place to start here today. One of the common threads I'm seeing from a lot of folks, and I tend to agree with you, or at least what I think you're getting at there, which is I heard from several fans, and I was listening to, I was flipping back and forth between some of the post-game shows in the parking lot, the radio shows locally, and a common theme has been, man, Penn State's offense is so vanilla. I don't know why Andy Kotelnicki, they brought in this guy, and he's supposed to be this fancy offensive coordinator that tries, just is going to be hard for defenses to read. And you just said maybe like take away some of the things from the playbook. I don't think a lot of Andy Kotelnicki's genius, and before Penn State fans jump on me, I'm telling you that the reason Penn State went after and got Andy Kotelnicki was the offense was very effective in Kansas, but a big part of it, Goon, was what they were able to get defenses to do and to show with the pre-snap movement. Well, that movement, if you watch this Penn State team, that they are not just lining up and everybody's just sitting there and, okay, we're just going to do dive left or dive right. And listening to some of the post-game analysis, both on air by friends and the media, like that's what I think. If you didn't see the game, that's what you would think, man, that Penn State offense must just come out and just not have any variety to it, not have any flair, no imagination, originality. And I'm more with you. Now, I haven't sat back. I watched the first couple of series. I was intending to watch a lot more and then life. So I watched the first couple of series. And but my takeaway, I did go back and just look at my notes getting ready for the show today. And The thing about the offensive struggles for Penn State is I don't think it was a lack of imagination or variety. And I'm not saying I'm right, but that isn't what I was reading as being the problem throughout the game. And one of the things that I think was problematic in trying to address, all right, what is the issue, is I don't think there was the issue. It was Drew Aller on the first series isn't able to get the ball to Luke Reynolds. The play is there. I'm not 100% sure it's definitively going to get the first down. It's going to be close. But, I mean, the play is there, and the ball gets batted down at the line of scrimmage. And whether you want to fault Aller for not getting the ball up and over or just give credit to the Oregon defense for making a great play, I thought Nicholas Singleton, again, missed some holes over the course of the game. I also thought the offensive line got pushed back too often. I thought Drew Aller, I won't say panicked, but he did not look comfortable. And there were some spots in there where I think he could have just stepped up and thrown a better ball than what he did, a more accurate ball than what he did. But I think he was getting happy feet. So, and I think there were some drop balls. So it wasn't like, man, all right, Drew Aller is just the problem. If they can get Aller solved, then that's it. Or the offensive line. Now, if you ask me, the biggest problem, while Aller is concerning, and again, I'm not ripping on the kid, but I mean, I think you can accurately assess that his development is nowhere near what you were hoping as a Penn State fan, or what I thought just as somebody covering the team, anywhere near what I thought it would be this year. If anything, it feels like he has regressed from where he was at the end of last season. And for a guy that has the reputation and, seemingly the talent that he does, it is disappointing to see the results be what they are to this point. And again, we're 4 games in. I'm not ready to write him off or the season off, but this is not what you were expecting to see with the schedule, certainly in those first 3 games that Penn State had. But I think the offensive line, to me, Goon, is the even bigger disappointment and the bigger concern to this point in the season for this team. And again, I don't know enough about it. Hey, is it just the talent isn't there? Did we overestimate, or was he over sold coming out of high school in terms of the overall talent and all of that with Drew Aller? The offensive line, I have a tougher time saying that, yeah, man, we just they were overhyped, or they're just not quite as good as we thought they were, because we saw them at the end of last year be a very good offensive line. I don't know exactly where you would rank them in the national pantheon of offensive lines, but they were up there. Like they were doing a good job pass protecting and run blocking, and we've just not seen it through lesser competition in the first 3 games, and certainly not against a formidable Oregon defense on Saturday night.
I can't argue with you, buddy. I really can't. As much as I want to, and sit there and say, that's not really. It is a weakness, and it's a glaring weakness right now. We're not getting any push, and the fact that Drew has happy feet is because he's getting hit. 3/4 of the time he's dropping back to throw passes, and we can sit there and push blame around. And like I said, I rewatched it. There are so many instances where it's like, if that just went the other way 1 or 2 times, it would all change. And then looking back, everything is always, you're looking back, everything's greener on the other. You're looking back on everything, right?
Yeah.
So the offensive line is concerning because you didn't see it the first 3 games of the year. We weren't getting 300 some yards of rushing a game when we should have been doing that. I don't know if we were trying to do too much and expecting like, oh, okay, well, we'll be okay. We'll be fine there. But it caught us, and it slapped us in the face this past Saturday. So, I'm a way look back to 2016 guy. We had very similar issues earlier in the year, and they rebounded from a lot of that, and then they meshed. Remember Joe Moorhead's offense wasn't really working at that point, and then everything started clicking. So let's hope and pray that that's going to happen in these next 2 weeks, because it'll be a very, very ugly October and November if they don't clean this stuff up. With that said, we said it Tuesday. You couldn't, ask for a better scenario right now for a team come limping into the game right now than the next 2 weeks. They're already on the road right now, heading out of town. The last week's behind them. They got UCLA on their mind right now. Nice long flight to California. Get a nice dinner tonight. Have a big game on Saturday, and get the heck back here. Celebrate homecoming, and then get ready for Iowa. So you couldn't ask for a better scenario than what we have right now. But like I said, there's everything that happened that was bad for us the other day is fixable, in my opinion. We can get our timing down on our passing. I personally think we're trying to do too much motioning with this or that. If I ever see the Wildcat again, I'm going to throw up. I just can't. I don't understand. It's never really worked for us, but we keep on doing it. Case in point, first half. The second half we ran a Wildcat and we went offside. So it was like, what are we doing out here? Killed the momentum of the drive right there. Yeah. But in the first half, we split Drew Aller out and motioned him out and put whoever in the backfield. And then they bring Aller in and fake a run play to him. Now, who in the hell in their right mind is going to honor that? Think about that. It's like, oh, here comes the quarterback. Oh, they might be handing the ball off to him. Well, then why the hell are we even in the Wildcat then? Or we're just faking it, right? Put Allen and Singleton in the backfield. Get Aller off the field. Have that threat going rather than trying to fake a handoff to the quarterback. I just didn't understand. It was like, what are we doing? What are we trying to get at right now? And it just seemed like as the game wore on, it was like nothing was working. So we were just trying all this other crap, and then it came down to we needed touchdowns. We got them when we needed them. We got them. So. I felt I was very disgusted Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I watched the game again yesterday. I'm feeling pretty good about it, us recovering and rebounding. Nothing's expected of us anymore. No one's gonna expect anything out of us right now. So just roll it out there. Let's just go, man. Damn. I said I did a podcast with some Philadelphia and Reading guys yesterday, or actually Tuesday night. And I said, I wouldn't be upset if we said, we're not throwing the ball today against UCLA. We're just going to run the ball, and we're going to learn how to run the ball. I don't care if you put 9 guys in the box right now. We are going to run the freaking football this weekend.
Well, and while part of me wants to say yes, because clearly Penn State will be able to take advantage of UCLA's lines, because both their offensive and defensive lines this year are just porous is probably the best way to describe them. But here's the thing, Goon, as you just said, if you are, while UCLA's offensive and defensive lines really have been awful, I mean, there's no other way to put it, through their first 4 games this season, are they really that much worse than Nevada, than Florida International, than Villanova? I'm finding that hard to believe, and we have not seen this line be able to take advantage of the mismatches when they have been there all season. I'm with you on one hand that, yeah, by God, you got to get the ground game going, and this is a great opportunity to do that. But we already had 3 great opportunities to do that, and we just have not seen it. And, to go to the 2016 comparison, that is the optimistic view. And I think there's some reason to believe, hey, because we did see it in 2016, that, yeah, man, because I do think that with the talent that is there across the board, it feels like, yeah, man, this offense ought to be able to get on a run and put points up. And that was the hope, obviously, is, boy, they probably used that bye week to really figure some things out, have the game plan that they want to have, and be able to come out and execute. And oh, good God, we saw just the opposite in the first half and really first three quarters there against Oregon. But sticking with the optimistic theme, did Penn State find something with Drew Aller being used in that running game in that fourth quarter that, now maybe this is what we can use to spark? And yeah, on one hand, uncomfortable having your starting quarterback running around when he's not, quote unquote, a running quarterback. But also, James Franklin mentioned it, that, yeah, Aller just seems to be a guy that when he gets hit, right, takes a shot or two, he just seems to get more in the flow of the game overall. And, I think it's inarguable that his best passing of the game came after a couple of those quarterback runs. And so, maybe you get that going a little earlier and see what you can produce over 4 quarters of football if you get that out of the opening drive.
Well, remember the Darrell Clark senior year syndrome? I don't even know what the hell year that even was. 2010, 11? I'm forgetting right now. But remember, we didn't have a backup when when Pat Devlin transferred to Delaware?
Yeah.
And we truly didn't have a backup for Darrell. And the first 4 or 5 games, our offense was stagnant. He's trying to be a drop back quarterback. He's not running the ball. They weren't running him. And it was like one of those things that's like, he's not a drop back quarterback. His game is the fact that he has the ability to run the ball. That you can't take that facet out of his game because his game is not complete without the running ability. Yeah. So I remember they were trying to treat Darrell like they didn't want him to get hurt because they really didn't truly have a good backup for him. But then you know what? It's like you got to do it. I'm sorry, but you got to do it. That is, Drew Aller is a running quarterback. He can make plays with his feet, and you are right. You sparked the hell out of my mind right there, Jeff. It seemed like he got into the game in that fourth quarter when they started running him a little bit. And he was taking hits as the quarterback back there, and he gets a little frantic when that happens. But when he's running the ball and he's getting hit, I think he enjoys that. Like, you're right. I mean, I'm like, you just sold me on that. Like, you can't take that out of his game. You still have to have that threat for that defense of him running that football. So there we go. And that might be it, Well, maybe they're trying to protect him too much.
Yeah. So, obviously, when they had Bo Pribula last year, we saw him come in and do some of that. But we also saw Aller pretty consistently, certainly second half of last season. Again, it wasn't he was running around all over the place or every other play was designed. But, man, they were getting him involved in that run game as well.
And the threat of him running the ball.
Yes. And so it is going to be interesting to see what Penn State does coming out with in terms of its offensive approach here, really these next couple of weeks with UCLA and Northwestern. The other thing, to go back to your Wildcat, and it was not effective, and it just did not seem. It seemed like Penn State came in with, hey, these are the things we're going to do, and we're just going to stick with it, instead of, oh, you know what? We don't seem to be in sync with the Wildcat. Oregon seems to be all over it. Let's maybe back off that, and we'll readdress that. I'm not saying you put it away for the season, but maybe after trying it a couple times and not having anything within sniffing distance of success, maybe go ahead and put that in the pocket for the day. Same thing with the up-tempo, Goon. It was like every time they rushed up to the line. And again, I don't think it's a bad idea, especially with an Oregon team that had to replace the guys that it did from a year ago and is in this big spot. I don't fault them for having that game plan at all. But again, once you try it 2, 3, 4 times and have zero success, to me, it's okay. We'll put that into the hopper for future consideration. But let's get back to just kind of our fundamentals and what we've been doing with some success throughout the course of the season. Now, admittedly, Saturday night, there wasn't anything there. I don't think, Goon, and maybe when you rewatched it, you have a different perspective. Part of the problem was I don't think there was anything that you're like, all right, if they would just throw the ball on first down, man, that's there. Or if you just run the ball on first down, or boy, when we shift to this side, we're getting some success there. There wasn't anything. There wasn't anything with the pace of play. There wasn't anything with the play calling. Like, there was nothing there where you could kind of sink your teeth in, and it's like, all right, this is working. Let's build our plan around this in terms of the adjustment. They weren't getting good protection. They weren't getting good first down yardage. They weren't. I mean, there was nothing there that you're like, all right, this can be our bread and butter tonight. They were without both bread and butter Saturday night. And so that does make it difficult when your offensive line doesn't seem to be in sync and everything you're throwing out there is not working. I mean, to me, there is some element of, all right, exactly what, when they get to the locker room there, what is it that you're, all right, man, we did this well in the first half, so we can build around this. There really wasn't anything there. I don't think that you could build around. And one final thing, just on the Wildcat, real quick. If I do wonder why. I don't necessarily mind the Wildcat itself, but like to me, and what I thought we might see is like, all right, put Trevor Pena in there as your Wildcat quarterback, or Katron Allen, or whoever, but then bring. Let's just say it's Katron Allen. Bring Pena in motion. Oh, we've seen them, do the little flick pass to Pena. Might they be doing that? Or like maybe run an option. And again, I don't want this to be a regular, every other play type of thing. But do I think you could put a little pressure on a defense with Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton running an option, and here comes Pena the other way, and you got to keep an eye, and you can freeze somebody for a moment, and maybe you can get, again, maybe not a big play, maybe you get a big play, but 5-6 yards with that, with reading, it feels like, yeah, you ought to be able to do that. And maybe even bring in Cam Wallace, and now you've got 3 or 4 options here with your run game, and you can put some pressure. It just did not feel like there was a real sense of, all right, man, we're going to exploit this opportunity by doing this. It was just like, hey, we're going to try something, see if it works, is what it felt like. And I'm sure, listen, those guys, obviously, I don't really think that that's what they went into it with. Hey, let's just throw everything up on the wall and see what happens. But, man, that is what it felt like as you watched that game unfold Saturday night.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I think that might be Oregon being better than we're really expecting them to be. They are a young team, but they were making plays against guys that we know can play the game. They're our right side of our offensive line was sort of exposed a little bit the other night with their 3 technique and their defensive ends, and they were running some games here and there. So they got to clean that up on our end. But I think they have some pretty good players and some very good coaches at Oregon right now. So, I mean, I think you're going to see them do very, very well this year. I really, truly do. And I'm tipping my hat to their staff and their players for coming into an environment as a young team. I mean, that was fun for them, and that was awesome to watch. They were having fun. It looked like we were Game 7 of an NHL game at home our butts puckered a little bit when we weren't doing what we wanted to be doing. And, Jeff, we hold Oregon and a very explosive Oregon offense to 3 points in the first half.
Yep.
3 points. You cannot ask our defense to keep doing that. If they were on the field close to 80 freaking plays on Saturday night, we ran 60-something, close to 60. That's a huge disparity. And, I don't know if that went into the what the news we got yesterday. I don't know if that's when Rojas got hurt. I don't know if it was at a practice like some are saying. I don't know, but they were on the field a lot. And they could not – it was not like we were not attempting to do stuff. They just would not let us get a big play on defense. They were not allowing it. And, again, I'm taking my hat off to Oregon. I'm hanging my hat on that. But I'm going to see what we're going to look like on Saturday.
Yeah, I want to pick up – we'll take a break here. On the other side of the break, I do want to pick up on the quarterback play and the line play, because I'm with you from Oregon, and again, we're in a different era of college football. I think, from Penn State's perspective, that the hope was, and I think still remains, although I understand many are off the bandwagon, and that's understandable. I get it as far as it goes. But what fans, and I think really the coaches and the program was banking on is, experience still does mean something and should factor in the ultimate chances here of accomplishing the ultimate objective. I want to pick up on that a little bit on the other side and just compare and contrast what we saw from Oregon, what we saw from Penn State Saturday night, and then kind of where this thing can or needs to go for both of those programs as they look toward the rest of the season. And again, both trying to chase down the ultimate objective of winning a national championship. We'll take a break here and be back with much more. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Again, we are coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube, a wonderful place to come on down and watch the Major League Baseball playoffs today. NFL football back at it tonight and throughout the weekend. And yes, if you're looking for a spot to come watch Penn State and UCLA come Saturday afternoon, along with all of the other college football action, this is a wonderful place to do it. Great food, great beverages, great service, and of course, all of those great sports on the TVs located all throughout the establishment. We're back with much more on this Thursday afternoon. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7. The Fox. State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Thursday afternoon. And yes, we will get into the Tony Rojas injury, which is obviously a big blow to that defense, and defense that has played well to this point in the season. And, how much does that change the outlook here for the remainder of the year, and how significantly will it impact what we have seen from that defense to this point in the season? So we will get into that here in just a bit. But it is interesting, Goon, because when you were doing you and I were doing the preview last week of the Oregon matchup, my expectation was, I didn't think Penn State was just going to push Oregon all over the place, but I did think Penn State had the advantage in large part because of the experience factor on both lines of scrimmage, and that certainly turned out not to be the case. So, very talented Oregon team for sure, and very well coached, but how concerning, I guess, is it that the experience that came back, and again, is a large part of why Penn State has the expectations it has for this season, that we didn't see that pay off. And, it's one of those things that's a little tricky. How much do you attribute it to the coaching component as well, Goon? Because I do think it's a legitimate question. And again, this was a double overtime game. So let's be clear that, this isn't like Penn State just got run out of the stadium and got pushed all over the place. But I think any objective analysis, you would have to say that the line play, both sides, over 4 quarters of the overtimes, the edge went to Oregon Saturday night. I don't think there's any question about that.
No, you can't argue that. I mean, the proof is in, our defensive line. We had 0 sacks, and we could sit here all day and say, well, we were getting held and there were some blatant holds out there. Yeah, I can't deny that happened, but they weren't being called. So it is what it is. You just got to play through that. Defensive line wise, not getting pressure it hurt us. There's no doubt about us. That's our bread and butter right there, is getting pressure with 4 and against anybody, really. And that really didn't happen this past week. You're dealing with an experienced third-year starting quarterback who was a very, very good 5-star quarterback. And again, he needed to get hit and get rattled a little bit, but he did not. He didn't. He was great the whole game. I mean, I'm very impressed by him. And when Dan Lanning's calling him he's the number 1 quarterback in the country, I mean, I haven't seen better than I did the other night. So take my hat off to him, and their offensive line blocking our D line. But about our offensive line, I mean, I'm going to sit here and say, you know what, I harped on it a little bit Tuesday, and that is that in 1995, my senior year, we had 4 of the returning starters from the 1994 offense. We went from giving up 3 sacks the whole season of 1994 to like 19 or 25. I don't know what it was our senior year. What was it? I don't know. New quarterback, new center, new all this. I don't know. But these guys, I don't know. It looks like they're indecisive out there, and it's crazy to think about that a group of five guys who played very well last year. The only difference is Donka playing right guard versus right tackle because Rucci is at right tackle. That's the only difference right there, and that seemed to be a little problem the other day. And you've heard me say it in the past about interior guys versus like the offensive tackles versus guards.
Yeah,
Donka's not a small man. He's a very tall guy, and he plays very, very high. So he's out of position playing right guard, but he is our top 5 guy. So that's why they have him out there. Because Rucci is playing. He played very well at right tackle, so Donka moved down to right guard. Now, where is Cooper Cousins in this whole thing? I don't understand why he's not getting a lot of time this year. I don't know if it's an injury. I really don't know. I'm not asking the right people, nor am I actually looking for it. But he's a freshman All-American who should be spelling a guard and a center every once in a while to keep the guys fresh. But we haven't seen that. It is more baffling to me than anything of how, we're supposed to be the 5th-year seniors on that offensive line, and we were going against freshmen and sophomores and a lot of new starters from Oregon the other night, and they outplayed us. And we can sit there and say, well, they're better than us, and that's okay, but that doesn't give Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova, they did well against. We did not. We have not dominated one defensive front in 4 games this year, and there was 3 cupcakes that we should have been battering on, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. Again, if I go back to it, are they trying to do too much on offense and getting away from what our bread and butter, and then get the ball to our running backs and get them running downhill? I mean, Tuesday I was mentioning how it felt like Saquon Barkley back there at times, where he had to avoid a guy 4 yards in the backfield before he could actually start running the ball. It just seems like that it's reverted back to that. So, like I said, I would love to go out to UCLA and say, listen, we're not doing any kind of motions, any kind of bull crap. We're lining up, and we're just going to go and just, get back to what we do.
There's some other things, Goon, because last year, one of the things that I thought was fun, going back to the innovative play calling of Andy Kotelnicki and that offense, it was Vega Ioane in motion. And I mean, and national media had fun with it. It was fun to see. It just seems like for some reason they have gotten away from some of the things that were very, very successful a year ago. And I'm just not sure. I don't know why you would do that. Maybe there's reasons. Maybe that they saw in film teams that had adjusted, but man, Ioane sure seemed to be really effective with that, and the offense as a whole effective playing off of that. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of the game planning, and we're seeing this, and that's why we wouldn't even think about doing that. I'm sure there are some reasons for it, but boy, it is frustrating when you see stuff that is working be put in the hip pocket and see stuff that isn't working just like tried repeatedly, regardless of the lack of success.
Yeah.
Through 4 games, that's just from a layman's perspective. Oh man, is that frustrating?
I don't want to keep on talking about the Oregon game like we are, but it's the elephant in the freaking room. It's like it's a humongous elephant in the room. But Jeff, let's talk about this. No one's even mentioned this. You know, we talk about James Franklin in big games. What about James Franklin after bye weeks? Why in the hell are we always flat? I mean, it's like clockwork.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we had a whole offseason, 3 preseason games, and then a bye week going into that game last week. And it looked like we had just learned how to play football a month ago.
Yeah. And again, part of what was so impressive about Oregon Saturday night was their ability to handle everything that Penn State and the crowd, the whiteout crowd, threw at them. I mean, they just seemed completely, not only unfazed, they seemed to be genuinely thriving in it. I mean, like, yeah, this is awesome. And like, man, we can't believe we have the opportunity. We talked about this a little bit last year, Goon, in the playoffs when we were talking about the pressure. And, you know, one of the things that makes Penn State wrestling so successful under Cal Sanderson is the ability of those guys to handle the big moments. And I do think it's very consistently just a group that seizes the opportunity and they look at it as an opportunity rather than, oh man, I need to figure out how to win this so I can cement my legacy. If I don't hit the moves right, I might not win the national title, and that's been my lifelong career. It's they just go out there and it's like, man, I know what I'm doing. Here we go. Let's go have some fun. And you know, it's just that fine line of how you look at opportunities and or pressure. And it just seemed like Oregon did a much better job of that, at least for 3 quarters of the game. Now, if Penn State, and I heard Chris Buchanani talking a little bit about this earlier in the week, you know, this was, and I think it was on with Joe Lednowski that when I was listening to this particular point, and Joe was saying, you know, if that pass in the second overtime is complete to Luke Reynolds and Penn State finishes off that drive with a touchdown, 2-point conversion, or if Oregon, you know, doesn't make the play it does on that first down. And I mean, we are a play or 2 away from having a completely different discussion. And oh my God, Penn State got over the hump, and here we go. I'm going to throw this at you, Goon, because I was thinking a good bit about it. And you know me, I need to be the glass half full guy. At the end of the day, I just do.
Wait, hey, I'm back on board, baby. I'm back on board. So go ahead, roll it out.
Just in terms of this particular result, just stay with me here. I'm not even saying I really completely believe me here, but let's see if I can sell it anyway. If Penn State wins that game over Oregon, and we did talk last week, at the end of the day, that game in and of itself, actually pretty meaningless. The loser of that game could still go on and win the national title, and the winner of that game still has work to do to get to the playoffs. Now, Oregon, if you look at their schedule, there's not a lot of work to be left to be done to get into the playoffs and have the opportunity. Yeah, they can't get too full of themselves, but their path is pretty pretty smooth right now. It would appear on paper because they don't have to run the table. They could probably afford because of that win Saturday night. They can probably afford to have a couple of stumbles and still feel pretty confident about their chances of getting in to the field. If Penn State wins that game, okay, and let's just say it plays out exactly the way it did up until the Drew Aller interception, and that instead of an interception there, it is a completion to Reynolds, and then on the next play, Penn State hits the touchdown, whatever play it is, and then they hit the 2-point conversion, and they win the game. We still had the 3 quarters that we did on Saturday night. And let's just say everything else plays out exactly the same. So we still have the Tony Rojas injury. Well, now I would argue that Penn State fans, the one thing I think we can guarantee you is that James Franklin and that coaching staff and those players are not taking any doggone thing for granted the remainder of this season. Right? There's no chance that they are like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. We got smooth sailing until Ohio State. They know now that the eyes are on them and they have got to get some stuff figured out. They don't have a lot of time to do it and all of that. So we'll see how the season plays out. I'm not saying it can't still go haywire, but it's not going to go haywire because, oh, yeah, we're just complacent and we're going through the motions. It is possible that if they win that game Saturday night, that they are going to, all right, man, we've got this now. And I'm not so much worried about what the reaction would be or what would happen with the UCLA and Northwestern games, but potentially with an Iowa game where it's like, come on, we're not losing to this team. And even with, Ohio State, Indiana, everything else down the road, I do think there's a chance that there would have been overconfidence from the Penn State side. There is zero chance of that. And listen, at the end of the day, and we saw this repeatedly last year, and I'll go to Oregon ran the table. It did everything the Penn State fans wanted Penn State to do this season, except when they got into the playoffs, it was one and done. And it did not look pretty, did not go well. At the end of the day, what this thing is about is trying to win a national championship. Well, Oregon, while it looked great, it's the end of September. Is it possible Oregon is peaking or feeling too good about itself too early? It's a long season. There's going to be adjustments that have to be made when you get into the playoffs. And is it possible that, like we saw with Notre Dame after the Northern Illinois loss last year, and like we saw with Ohio State after losing to Oregon and losing to its big rival, and you think the noise is loud around here this week, Ryan Day and Ohio State, they were dealing with even more noise at a more critical juncture of the season, by the way. And they came through it, obviously, just fine. And Notre Dame and Ohio State ended up playing for the national title. As you said, Goon, I mean, they clearly are not that far off, especially if we are right, and I think we are, that Oregon actually, even as a 6th-ranked team, was underrated, and maybe substantially so here. Now, again, we'll see how everything plays out. They certainly look like that. Dante Moore looked like the best quarterback in the country, all of that. One night, I get it. We'll see how it all plays out. But this thing is ultimately going to be judged by what Penn State does from here on out, and mostly by what they do in the postseason. So even if they go and have an ugly loss at Ohio State and still get in, and I get we can have that discussion too, but let's just say they go 10-2 and they get beat by a couple of touchdowns and they don't have the fourth quarter rally that they did against Oregon, and they lose 17-3 or 20-3 to Ohio State. Again, if they then turn around and win the national title, So what? Yeah, man, it was a bummer. We lost that whiteout game. It was a bummer that we didn't win in Columbus. And look at this. This is pretty cool, though. National championship trophy. I mean, it's kind of, the Guardians are celebrating the, hey, we won the division. That's cool. And if you turn around and lose here today to the Tigers and you're out of the first round of the playoffs, congratulations. Good job celebrating that division title. It means what now? So, especially with the world we're in, Goon, again, everything is still on the table here for Penn State. It is a matter of how they use this. And again, at some point, they actually do have to get over the hump against a higher-ranked, favored opponent in a big spot. And that's both James Franklin and Drew Aller, as well as the program as a whole.
Jeff, you got to look up Joey Galloway. He had about a 2-minute blurb today with Herb Street on their little show today, talking about Penn State. And he goes, every big game they get in, take the record out of it. Everybody's talking about James's record, this and that, yada, yada, yada. They just play just to get by, and then they try to win the game in the fourth quarter all the time. We never, ever get blown out in big games like that. It's always we're in them, and then set ourselves up to try to make the big play at the end of the game, and then we don't make it, then it's like, oh, wow, it didn't happen. Instead of just coming out and just getting after it, just go full throttle, It's just like it's almost like Galloway said, and I hate giving him any credit, but I have to. And it just seems like we play timid and scared, like we're afraid to make mistakes. We don't want to turn the ball over. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. Instead of just playing the game and just going out. And I'm going to use a word that it seems like this team has forgotten. Have some fun. Have you seen one of our kids smile this year? It did.
Yeah, I have. Denied Dennis Sutton was smiling pretty broadly, and I have seen that. But I do think there is something to the playing tight, where you're, and we've talked about it really throughout Drew Aller's career. The touchdown to interception ratio is great overall, but you need a guy that, to me, I'll compare it to like a cornerback who gets a couple of interceptions, big plays in the big moments, but gets burned here and there. You got to have the short memory. And I don't want to see interceptions. Nobody wants to see interceptions. But would I trade having a couple of interceptions for a couple of also big touchdown passes, and then maybe in the clutch moment of the game, a quarterback who's like, we've overcome the interceptions, we've made the big plays. I know I'll come up in the big moment here. I don't. It's hard to know without seeing what's happening day in and day out in practice. And, there's several people making the point. It just feels like Penn State has been extremely protective of Drew Aller really from the get-go. And you keep waiting for, all right, well, now let's unwrap this gift that we have. Well, folks, we're a third of the way through his senior season. At some point, if you're going to cut him loose, and you get the feeling now, again, maybe they are seeing stuff in practice that's like, this isn't what you guys think we have. And if it's that, again, you gotta go with what you have. But boy, it feels like he has some more tools that you're just not letting him operate with. And maybe with what we saw in the fourth quarter there, maybe we'll see something different in that regard against UCLA. Obviously, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Along those lines, have somebody asking much earlier in the show, what if Penn State's offense struggles against UCLA? do we ask, meaning you and me, Goon, do we ask for a quarterback change? Backup quarterback. Let me just, I'll chime in first here, and then I'll get your thoughts, Goon. Part of it is going to be, all right, I need more than offense struggles to know whether or not quarterback change would be even thought of as an answer. If it is, man, Drew Aller just looks confused by this UCLA defense and has a couple of picks. And it looks like his confidence is shot. I'm not saying under no circumstances would I make a quarterback change. But as we sit here right now, I think it would be unlikely that I would be calling for that. And this is the thing for me, Goon, is, and we have a lot of folks asking, a coaching change. We need a coaching change. Need an offensive coordinator change. We need a head coach change. We need a quarterback change. And we've had national media folks, 4-21 just wouldn't cut it. And you go down the long list of schools that wouldn't cut it. They'd be making the move. And my point remains, you think the grass is always greener. The backup quarterback, when an offense is struggling, always the backup quarterback. Man, that's the guy that if we just put that guy in there. And there are exceptions and there are times, and I get it, and you can point to them. The overwhelming majority of the time, you put in the new quarterback, and lo and behold, he's not quite as good as the other guy, and it's almost like there's other issues within the offense than the quarterback. We have gone through the offensive coordinator situation, Goon, and it's Mike Yursich. That's going to be our answer. Nope. We got to get the new, brand new shiny object. Andy Kotelnicki. That's the guy. Oh, no, he's not the guy. We got
to pay a coordinator. We finally got to pay one big money. Okay, we'll go out and do that.
Yep. And so and same thing with James Franklin. I think James Franklin is a very good coach. I don't want to get into the good, great, elite, whatever. I think he is a good coach. Penn State is very consistently winning the games it should win. It is very competitive in the games that it loses against the elite teams, the elite programs in given seasons. So I know it's either our coach is the best or he sucks, and actually most are somewhere in between. And I would argue James Franklin is a lot closer to the great end of that spectrum than the sucks spectrum. That being said, 4-21 is 4-21, and that's, again, they have to eat that right now. But I am just not nearly as convinced as others are that, if you just went out and brought in Al Golden or whatever you think is the Kurt Signetti or whoever the hot prospect is out there, I'm just not nearly as convinced as many of you are that, by God, that guy would just, we know he would come in, fit in with the Penn State culture, build on what's been here. Everybody would love him, and we'd go out and win national titles. I don't think it's likely. Possible. I'll grant you possible. I think more likely that, you slip down a couple of spots and you become the program that is constantly chasing its tail. And that's the thing. By staying with James Franklin, a lot of the national media, it's like, they're settling for mediocrity. Well, first of all, a top 10 program is not mediocrity. Being 40th, 50th, that's mediocrity. Being a top 10 program, even if you're not winning the national title, that is not mediocrity. So Penn State is not, quote unquote, settling for mediocrity. They're settling, if you want to look at it that way, for being a top 10 program. And I think there's something to be said for that. When you're doing it the right way, you have a coach who seems to he seems to enjoy the environment of college athletics these days. There are not many coaches that even give you the impression that, yep, no, this is we're good with this. And I'm not saying James Franklin doesn't, I'm not saying he actually loves everything about it. I'm saying that the image he projects is, yeah, I'm good. We're on top of the NIL stuff. I'm good. We're on top of the transfer portal stuff. And listen, overall, I would argue they've been very, very effective on all of those fronts. So I'm just not sure that, all right, bring in another offensive coordinator, and then we're going to see this offense thrive. Or, man, you bring in another coach, and then, boy, Penn State's going to start winning national titles. You go to Grunkemeyer, and by God, you're going to see a 78 passer rating, and you're going to see the Nittany Lions offense just click. Like, none of those things seem likely to me, and I think it's more likely that you have a really good offensive coordinator, you have a good quarterback, again, maybe a little overrated. The fit, I think, is a legitimate question. In terms of Andy Kotelnicki and what he wants to do with his offense and maybe his quarterback, and having a talent that is at least perceived as more of the drop back variety as Drew Aller, might you be better off with a running quarterback, a true dual threat? I think that's a discussion worth having. And is it something that Penn State really strives to get moving forward when you look at the overall success of the teams and the quarterbacks that have or provide that dual threat element?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would like to see Grunkemeyer get some significant snaps this weekend, because I guess I convinced myself that, I guess we've been around the football team a long time, and we're talking about Darryl Clark right now. And that is that Darryl's game was much better when he could threaten the run. And I don't think people are fearing Drew Aller running the ball out of the quarterback position, because maybe we're scared to run him. Maybe we're scared to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we're scared that Grunkenmeyer's not ready. Well, you know what? We're playing two really bad football teams the next 2 weeks. Get the kid some significant snaps in the first half. Now, will that mentally screw up Drew Aller? I don't know. If it does, then maybe he is a mental, midget type of thing. I would like to see Grunkemeyer get some snaps this week with the ones. Go out there, see how he does. Because if he does do well, then it's okay. Then let's release Drew. Let's get him out there. Let's get him running the ball. Threaten to run the ball. Change up the offense a little bit, because when we started doing that, Jeff, you said it. The game changed in that fourth quarter on Saturday when he was running. Everything changed about it. We figured out that they were not respecting him running the ball. And then when he started to, we moved the ball. So get Grunkemeyer some snaps this week. Get some confidence in our guys right now. It's only going to help.
Yeah, I want to see kind of what this thing looks like Saturday against a UCLA team that is really, really struggling, and especially struggling along the offensive and defensive lines. They just. I think it would be safe to say, I haven't sat down and watched all of the line play throughout the Big Ten. I can't imagine that there is a worse offensive line than what UCLA has this year in the conference. And I don't think there's many that would be as bad anyway as the defensive line and what UCLA has been able to put out there. Again, New Mexico was – if you watch that game, I mean, New Mexico was dominating the line of scrimmage.
That's when we talked to each other the next day and said we really had to look at ourselves. We were watching that game at 11 o'clock at night, and there was 800 people in the Rose Bowl watching New Mexico destroy UCLA, and we were watching it.
Yeah, and So, yeah, let's kind of see how this thing, and I'm not saying see it in terms of, all right, now we have our answers. Penn State's offense is fine. We're back on track. If it does go out and get some things done against UCLA, but listen to the point is if they are struggling in any way against this team this week with that offensive line, I mean, if Aller's getting sacked, if they're not able to get consistently at least an average of 4 yards a carry, then something is really amiss here. And they got to keep working to try to fix it. But the hope is maybe they again found a little something in that fourth quarter about, all right, this is the way we need to work it with this offense this year. Figure out the combinations that are effective there within that O-line and see if they can start to get things rolling here like that 2016 team and start putting up the big points that most of us were anticipating this team would be putting up from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the national media, opening game of the year, Archie Manning stunk versus Ohio State. He didn't play well the next 2 weeks, Then they go out and they play some Sam Houston State. He throws for 350, 4 touchdowns, this and that. And now everybody's saying they're right back on board with Arch being the best quarterback of this year and this and that. So this is what the doctor ordered the next 2 weeks for Drew Aller and this offense. Let's go out there, get back to basics. Like I said, I'm repeating myself over and over again. Let's go out and play our game. Let's go back to the basics and start from scratch. And, play against UCLA the way we would have played against Nevada, and just keep it plain Jane and get after it, man. That's just how I feel. And then do they go out and try to do super extravagant stuff and run 4 wide and try and get Drew's confidence back, all this and all that. I mean, there's so much we need to fix. Let's just work on the basics. Let's just get right back to the basics.
Yep. We'll take a break here. When we come back, I do want to talk about this Tony Rojas injury on defense and what that means to the defensive side of the ball and what Penn State needs to get done on that side of the ball here over these next couple of games to feel good about things still there, because it obviously is a big blow with the way Rojas was playing and how integral he has been to the defensive success so far this season. So we'll kick that around a little bit. On the other side of this break, you're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors. People invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And back here on a Thursday afternoon as we get ready for Penn State UCLA this weekend, 3:30 kickoff on Saturday out at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. UCLA 0-4 in the season, 0-1 in the Big Ten, coming off the 3-point loss to Northwestern. 17-14 in the Nittany Lions, of course 3-1 overall, also 0-1 in the Big Ten after the 30-24 double overtime loss to Oregon in the whiteout game Saturday night. So all of the problems seemingly to this point have been on offense, Goon, but now we have the injury to Tony Rojas, who has been playing at a very high level at linebacker, long-term injury, is what James Franklin termed it as, coming out of the practices on Tuesday. And so, you know, this obviously changes a bit the outlook of this defense, and it is going to be interesting to see just physically who it is that is out there in place of Rojas. You know, Dom DeLuca, you would certainly think is going to get a lot more snaps, but you know, do they go to Alex Tatch and feel like the freshman is going to be capable of handling this? Again, you have a couple of weeks to kind of sort this through, and with the rules now the way they are, if you put Tatch in there and you're like, oh, wait a second, he's not ready, you can, you know, pull him back out and still keep the red shirt. But it kind of sounds like he might be the guy that they're looking to in that next man up mentality, or do they move some other players around here a little bit? And again, it feels like you have a couple of weeks to play with this, Goon, if you're Jim Knowles, to kind of figure out, all right, this is how we can best go about moving forward without Tony Rojas. Again, I don't know that you're necessarily replacing him per se, or replacing his production anyway with one player, but you got to move forward without him and get a replacement body in there. And then again, schematically, does it change what Penn State tries to do with its defensive approach? It's going to be interesting to see. And again, it's an important couple of weeks now on both sides of the ball, obviously, for Penn State to get this thing turned around to where it wants to be later in the season.
Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, that is a huge blow losing Rojas out there. I've had people call me from other schools that are fans of other schools, and specifically this past Saturday night's game, they actually said that kid played his butt off.
Yeah.
He's playing very, very well. He's playing at a high level for a younger guy still, and he's coming off of a off-season shoulder surgery. So now the speculation is this one might be a knee. So he's getting beat down a little bit, man. That's scary for him in the future. But yes, schematically, you're going to lose a lot of stuff. I mean, Don DeLuca is a great kid, a great football player, but he's not Rojas. You know, he's out there. He's not a kind of guy who's going to be able to eat blocks. He can't do that. They're just not the same physical size. Dominic specifically is not going to be able to play in the middle and take a 325-pound guard or center on and then be able to fight that off. He's got to use his speed, and Rojas was a speedier type of player.
Yeah.
He will be missed for sure. But you know that this is the way football works, and it's going to be, Dan Connor's got, he's got to earn his paycheck this week and get some guys ready to go. And they have played a lot of guys at linebacker, in my opinion. So there are guys out there who have played the position. So again, this is a godsend of having this next 2-week schedule when it comes down to getting your team's confidence back, as well as trying out some new players at different positions.
Yeah, Anthony Specky, you would think, is going to get at least a good look there, and again, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the spot and maybe how different they approach it personnel-wise, depending on whether they feel like they're in a passing situation or a running situation with the opposition. Do they do some things with that talented secondary to maybe cover up or adjust any deficiencies against one element of the game or the other? It's going to be, and I don't know that we'll know or see everything that is being done, but obviously we'll see at least personnel-wise, what they're doing and have some idea of the schematic approach here. Which again is likely going to change depending on the opponent anyway, from week to week. But I as you said, just big blow for the team. Just really sorry to see it for Rojas himself, because that kid, as you said, had overcome the shoulder injury, was just playing at such a high level, and he is just such a unique physical specimen, Goon. I mean, that guy has special gifts, athletic gifts, and from everything we hear anyway, has the work ethic to go with it, where that's where you get those special players. The generational type stuff is when you combine the rare athleticism and those gifts with a work ethic and a desire to be great. And just hope that Rojas, I know they don't get into the details, so I have no idea if there's any chance or not that he could get back for the playoffs. Long-term injury is intentionally, obviously, nebulous, and so whether or not there's any chance of him getting back this season or it's definitive that he's out until next year, at least right now, we don't know. Boy, you'd love to see him be able to work his way back and get into the postseason, and what a boost that would be for Penn State if that was to occur. And again, I'm reading speculation, but I don't know what the injury is or what the likelihood. It sounds like most of the speculation seems to be that this is probably season ending, but we'll hold out hope that is not the case.
And the good news, that's probably the worst word I used. Not good news is that he has only played 4 games, so he actually he can redshirt this year. So I mean, he wouldn't have to use a medical; he could actually use his true redshirt year right now, because if he is not going to be able to come back in this season at all, because he can play up to 4 games. He played in the first 4, so he is eligible to redshirt now if he cannot come back. So that's the whatever. I guess the silver lining, I guess you could say that of a big shiny turd, because it is going to hurt, and it's going to hurt a lot because he made a lot of plays for us and he covered for a lot of people. But again, next man up mentality. Defensive line's got to go. Hey, we got to take care of our linebackers. Tony's not back there. We got to hold these guys a little. Give them a hold another second. Give them another second to make a play. So again, football is a great game when it's all about the people you're playing next to. Everybody does their job. The play should work. So if they go out there and they execute as defensive line, as linebackers and defensive backs, we should be okay. But he will be missed for sure. I mean, just look at the SMU game last year. I mean, I'm watching him return that interception, and I was like, are you sure we don't want to play this kid at tailback? I mean, he had the same number as somebody. Oh, I mean, geez, Louise, man, the way he was running that ball. So, yes, it's going to hurt, but it is the game of football, and it is, you're going to deal with injuries. That's just the name of the game. So you don't want to lose your best player on defense, which he is easily the best player in that front seven, if that whole defense actually. So it's going to be hard to replace, but they got to do it. They'll figure it out.
Deny Dennis Sutton might have something to say about that, but he's obviously a key part of it. I think. Listen, you don't want injuries to anybody. It's just when you get. The biggest question mark depth-wise on defense was linebacker. Rojas clearly was, again, just playing it at such a high level. And so we'll see what we have, I suspect, now with some of the younger guys. And again, Jim Knowles, they're not devoid of talent, but now they are, I think, lacking in certainly at least experienced depth at the linebacker, the type of experience that you'd like to have if you're going to make a national title run. I have a couple of questions. What about Joe Brady as head coach? Again, I'm good with James Franklin as head coach. Changing out the QB would let us know if it's the OC or the quarterback struggling. I don't know that that's necessarily true either, because if the backup quarterback is the backup quarterback because he's a lesser quarterback, well, then one quarterback struggling and then the next struggling, I don't think is necessarily proof that, all right, it's the offensive coordinator. It may just be the quarterback room. Not to get too far down that rabbit hole, but I don't know that necessarily shows one way or the other. And when you guys start talking sure wins, we're in trouble historically. Fair enough. And I mentioned earlier, I do think if you're looking for hidden blessings here coming out of the loss, I don't think there's any chance that Penn State takes a UCLA win for granted or a Northwestern win for granted. I think we as fans can take those for granted and point out that, I mean, if Penn State loses either of these next couple of games, the wheels have officially come off the program. And I mean, that could happen. I'm not ruling that out, but I mean, this is an historically bad UCLA team. It really is. Yet again, I'm talking about along the line of scrimmage, which any expert will tell you that's where the games are won and lost. And if Penn State, with the talent it has on the offensive line and the talent it has on the defensive line, if Penn State cannot take care of business, even with the long road trip and the time change and all of that, I'm just out. If they lose either of these next two games, Goon, then the wheels have officially come off the program, and we're having entirely different discussions. And listen, I mean, we saw it in '99, obviously much later in the season, but that thing went off the rails after the Minnesota loss. They let one loss become two and two to become three. But even there,
that was the old school. That was the old 80s and 90s mentality. You know, they were out of national title contention. You know,
yeah, but they also were not playing teams as poor as UCLA is in particular. Northwestern is certainly not a great team this year, but I think more formidable up front than what Penn State is going to see here on Saturday. And you know, it's going to be really interesting to see what that crowd is like for the homecoming game with Northwestern. And to me, Goon, that one, and getting ahead of ourselves here, I understand, but it is going to be imperative that Penn State offense come out and get some production early in that game. Fans will be ready to turn in a heartbeat. If they go 3-0 in that first series, do you have any doubt that we're going to hear the Boo Birds and either fire Franklin or bench Aller chants? I mean, it's just this fan base is they want to see winning football, meaning national championship caliber football. And you know, we talked about it going into the whiteout game, and you saw it. They were ready to turn and did turn in that second quarter. So best case scenario here for Penn State, they go out and take care of business against UCLA and get off to a good start in the homecoming game against Northwestern, and at least quell, albeit very temporarily, all of the noise that currently surrounds the coaching staff, the quarterback, and the program as a whole.
It's going to be interesting on Saturday. One, we don't travel out west well. You know, historically, we started pretty slow out there. We're coming off of a huge loss on a night whiteout. We're at an away game. How do our guys feel when they come out? You're going to see early, they might be sluggish, they might be slow. I would not be surprised if that is 100% the case. But in the long run, as the game wears on, we better be taking over. I mean, I fully suspect to have a slow start. That's just what we do in the last, 10, 12 years going out west. Is we historically start pretty slow out there because it is such a weird travel day that happens and all that. But again, I go back to this is just what the doctor ordered for these guys. It was a very, very, very short week of practice at State College. They got the hell out of Dodge today. They're not listening to anybody yammering about this or that in the Oregon game. Just go out there, worry about UCLA. There's going to be 400 people in the stands, and 300 are going to be Penn State fans. So, maybe if we do start slow, our fans may start booing them there, and they might hear it because UCLA doesn't have enough fans to quiet us out. So, it's gonna be a bad environment, Jeff. It's gonna be the recipe is set for a slow start. Out west, it's going to be a horribly attended game. After having watched that New Mexico State game, that night, at the Rose Bowl, I don't expect a lot of UCLA people there.
Yeah, I think they are at least back in session now, so
they may have some students there.
Yeah, at least at the start of the game.
So I mean, yeah, and I think our guys and our fans need, if we do come out slow. I guess I'm sort of expecting that, but I don't want them to. I want them to come out and just start running the ball and pounding the ball and go on a 14-play drive and take UCLA's heart and just stomp on it and then do it again and again and again and again. But I don't think that's going to happen. I want it to, but I don't think it is. I did make a nice prediction on 24/7 today, Jeff, or the other day. You want to hear it?
Yeah, by all means.
56-0. And I said Penn State will have 2 running backs over 200 yards rushing.
Oh, man.
I mean, that isn't me wishful thinking, but it is what it is, bro. I don't want them to throw the ball. I just want them to just run the ball. I say, you got 85 plays. Run the football.
Yeah, again, if they are going to get the running game going, this is the game in conference to do it. But the concerning fact is they did not establish the run in those first 3 non-conference games against opponents that clearly, Penn State should have been able to get the running game going, and regardless of how many people were in the box or what the objective of the opponent was. So that'll be the other interesting thing to me, Goon, is what is UCLA's approach? Do they just say, yeah, we're not going to respect Drew Aller and sell out, and we know we have been struggling along the defensive front, so we're just going to go all out with a variety of blitzes here and put pressure on and say that, we're going to force run blitzes I'm talking about, so that you're forcing Drew Aller and Penn State to pass the ball. You'd think that's what their objective would be going into this thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So if that's the case, if that's what they're going to do, then Drew has to step up and start hitting if they're going to run blitz or pass blitz, and he's got to start hitting the hot receivers and, proving that he's a 5th year or a 4th year quarterback, a 3rd year starting quarterback. He needs to go out and prove that to people. He needs to prove it to himself. I guess that, the gloves are off. He's been coddled a couple of years of a couple of bad mistakes in big games. And, this past week, it's just the same pressure that James Franklin is under. I think that Drew Aller is under from our fan base and himself. Let's not kid ourselves. He feels it, and James feels it just the way the fans do. It's not like they go home at night and they just say, I don't care, I'm counting my money, I'm good. No, they don't. This is big to them. This is their job. So don't think for a second this is not hurting those guys. They're hurting real bad. So it'll be interesting to see how we do Saturday. I really do. I really think that, again, I'm going back to what I saw against Oregon the other day when I rewatched it, and I'm just like, we were not that bad. We were just – everything we were making mistakes on is fixable, but Oregon did not make any mistakes in that game. Now, do we make them make mistakes? No. We never made the big play on defense, which is what we needed to spark.
We saw it on one play.
Yeah.
We just didn't see that play count, is all.
What somebody said to me? If that went for a touchdown, do you think that would have been reviewed much more intently? Okay, this is a huge, huge, huge play. I just don't see what in the hell they saw. I don't know.
Yeah. Being asked if we think Penn State's morale is shot after the loss, how do you, I think asking you, Goon, how you guys bounced back after a tough loss.
Again, it's the 80s and 90s mentality that I was playing with, and that was, oh God, we're still out. We're out of the national title. Now we have to have somebody lose a game, and we can sneak in, right? You're still playing for everything right now. We got it. Us as fans and everybody got to get out of that mindset that the season is over. Everything is still available that we want is that it's still out there. So how do we respond? How does James Franklin respond? How does Drew Aller respond? How does our offensive line respond? We're going to see that. This is a very, very senior-laden team, a very veteran team. You would think that they would take the locker room over and take the reins and say, "Hey, this is our team now. We're doing this." I know that a couple of years ago when we went to the Rose Bowl and won the Rose Bowl, those guys, they were very well led guys, very well led teams. So these guys were younger guys then. They know what it takes to get to the Final Four. They know what it takes to get to the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. I'm not worried about that with the leadership on this team. So I'm okay with it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm very much looking forward to next week's Indiana-Oregon game, to be honest with you. That's a huge game, in my opinion, in the national scene, but also of what I was seeing last week versus what I'm going to see going in the future with the Indiana team.
Yeah, we'll take a break here. We have some other questions that we will respond to regarding what we see the rest of the season here, including if there is a loss to Ohio State, as many are presuming. Is Penn State's playoff status in jeopardy? We'll kick that around a little bit as we continue. It is our Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox, and we're coming right back.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months and get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too, and their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And back here with a final segment on this Thursday afternoon as Penn State tries to put the Oregon game behind it. Perhaps easier said than done. I do think one of the things, and James Franklin talked about it, they are tapping into Jim Knowles, and you know, I do wonder sometimes if we're expecting Jim Knowles to be the the cure-all here for Penn State. He obviously has a lot of experience and directly applicable to Penn State from last year. But also, I mean, he can talk about it, but it's a lived experience that Ohio State as a program went through last year and got through. And Jim was obviously part of that, and I understand it, and I think it's worthwhile tapping into the lessons he learned and what he saw and having him talk to the team. But also, like, it's not like Jim Knowles could just, this is what we did, therefore you guys do this, and we're going to go win a national title here and put this disappointment behind us. It's a different collection of individuals, different circumstances, the whole bit. But, yeah, do I think it's worth tapping into somebody you have on staff who a year ago saw his team and was a big part of the program that had a equal, if not more, bitter disappointment at a much later stage of the season, and was part of a program that was able to put that behind them and come out and play their best football and, ultimately finish off the highest achievement you can have in college football. So I think, again, it's worthwhile tapping into. I do think there seems to be almost this perception that Jim Knowles, and again, I think he's a great defensive coordinator, but it's not like he snaps his fingers and, all right, well, the Tony Rojas injury is insignificant now. And, the bitter disappointment of the Oregon loss, we know how to solve that because I was part of the team that got over a loss to Michigan in the rivalry game at the end of the season. I think he's a valuable resource on all of those fronts, but it's just not going to be, all right, well, Jim Knowles has spoken and now we know what to do, and all of the issues will be resolved and we'll go win a national title. Again, worth tapping into. I'm glad they're doing it. I think it's smart to do it. I think the leadership on this team will be tested because it's not just that you lost that game. It is the way that you lost it and having that emotional roller coaster there where you're frustrated for three quarters and, man, can we get anything to break our way? And then, all of a sudden it does break your way. And now you're thinking, oh my gosh, we just scored. We're on the cusp of winning this game. We have them on fourth down. We get this play and we win it. And then they score and then they score again. And then the interception. And so now you go from, the virtually the highest of highs or feeling like you're on the threshold of feeling the highest of highs to now, again, not feeling in the moment like you're the lowest of lows, but yeah, in the world we're in, you still have everything that you set out to accomplish at the start of the season in front of you. But obviously some things that need to get corrected and turned around here in order to at least contend for that objective here at the end of the year.
I agree. And then the thing about Jim Knowles is it's not just in going up there and saying the words and this and that. He's done it. I mean, they're going to be like, listen, guys, it was this bad for us last year, but we went ahead and we did this. We rallied around the negativity surrounding the program. I mean, you think we have negativity in around our program right now? I mean, the Ohio State fan base and Columbus area, holy crap, man. That's a different kind of world. That's almost like death threat type of stuff that Ryan Day was going through last year after that Michigan game for sure. But, winning the title, and then it's not changed. But there was still the fickle crew from Ohio State who were like, well, I still want him fired, even though they won a national title. It's insanity. But getting Jim Knowles up there to talk to the team and saying, this is what we got to do. This is what we did. And it's still there. Our guys need to realize that everything is still there. I mean, I know I sound like a coach, but nothing is gone. It's all still right there. It's like if Cael Sanderson loses the dual match next year, does that knock them out of national title convention? No. It's just a setback, You're still not out of it. You can still accomplish all of your goals, and it's just a little bump in the road, and we'll see where we take it from. We'll see what we got to do to improve. And again, We are very, very, very veteran-laden team, so we should be okay leadership-wise. They've done it before. They've seen it done from Ohio State last year. We lost, a second game last year, and we still made the playoffs. So it's not over. The only thing that worries me, Jeff, is it's almost like Ohio State is going to be depending on how the top 10 goes. The Ohio State game, it may turn into a must-win situation because our out-of-conference schedule was so bad that I think the national pundits may just hold that over us so bad it's not against us big time. Should they do that? No, but it all works out. But you don't know. I mean, there might be 7 one-loss teams this year. I don't know how the cookie's going to crumble. There might be 15 two-loss teams. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But all we can do is go out and win each game that we go out and play. But the Ohio State game, okay, we're going to see a lot of, there's a lot of time before that. We still got to go to Iowa. We got to go to Michigan State. There's a lot of stuff to play for, a lot of big games. But and it starts this week. I can't stress this enough. How a good opportunity for our team is this weekend with getting away from this area. I guess there's sort of a negativity in the area right now. It's a negativity or frustration. I don't know what it is, but it's still it tastes the same. How's that? So these guys going up the West Coast, it's a good thing for them.
Yeah, I think that's the case. We do have questions. Does 10-2 loss at Ohio State get Penn State in the playoffs? I think the out-of-conference schedule keeps them out. Listen, as you said, Goon, we have to see how a lot of other stuff plays out. I think Penn State is in at 10-2, regardless of certainly if they win at Ohio State and then lose to Indiana. I mean, there's different scenarios there that could play out, or if you lose at Iowa but then bounce back and beat Ohio State and Indiana. I do think at the end of the day, and again, it's speculation, but I think 10-2 gets Penn State in regardless. Now, will there be the Paul Feinbaums of the world and others? It's like, hey, this team doesn't deserve to be there. This is ridiculous. And will there be hand-wringing? And will there be a team that will be making claims that they should be in over Penn State? Yep, I think all of that will occur. But yes, if you're asking me right now, does Penn State get in at 10-2? Yes, I think Penn State gets in at 10-2. I think there's no chance, and I don't think anybody would disagree, zero chance that they get in at 9-3. But I do think 10-2 gets them in. Maybe the possible exception, and again, it'll still depend on how a lot of other stuff plays out nationally. Who are the other teams that are in that 10 to 15 range? If Penn State goes and gets its doors blown off by Ohio State, I mean, if it's like a 35-3 game, maybe not. Even if Indiana's undefeated and Penn State looks good in that game, if they absolutely get crushed and manhandled and look like they don't belong on the same field, not knowing what the rest of the landscape is going to look like right now, because it feels to me, Goon, I don't think anybody is getting out of the SEC undefeated this year. I don't. That conference, and whether it's because the SEC is just that tough Ironhead, they just beat up on each other, or there's just not a great marquee team, a lot of really good teams. I don't know, but I don't think anybody's getting through that SEC conference unscathed this year. And I think there's going to be a bunch of 2-loss teams. I'm really curious to see Miami this weekend. I'm curious to see that Oregon Indiana game in a couple of weeks. and how both of those teams show up. Do we see the same Oregon team that we saw at Beaver Stadium? How does Indiana handle that atmosphere at Autzen? That'll be in Eugene. So lots of things that we need to sort through. Does Indiana look like a legitimate contender? Does Oregon look like the same team that we saw here Saturday night, where Dante Moore looks like he should be winning the Heisman Trophy? Their line play looks like it's as good as anything out there. We have to just wait and see how all of that plays out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's an ironclad lock that Penn State is in at 10-2, but at least as we sit here right now, not seeing exactly how everything plays out, I would be very surprised if a 10-2 Penn State team was ultimately left out of the playoffs here this season. Could it be the Powers may start bypassing Penn State because of the poor record versus better teams? Yeah, again, it's certainly possible. Brand name still counts for something, and I'm not arguing that it should. I'm just telling you it does. I know the committee will tell you it doesn't. They're looking at just the records this year and the comparisons this year from the different programs. I'm just telling you, if you have a Penn State, and I can't even think of the team right now, let's say a Texas Tech. If you have, and I haven't sat down recently and looked at Texas Tech's schedule, but I mean, if they're coming down to Penn State and Texas Tech, Goon, Penn State's getting in. I'm convinced of that. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see how everything plays out, both with Penn State and with everybody else the remainder of the season. Phillies will open up on Saturday. Our buddy Nick checking in. Yep, go Phillies. They'll open up against the Dodgers on Saturday. LA, the only team to complete a 2-game sweep here in the wild card round, finishing off the Reds yesterday. We're underway with the Tigers leading the Guardians, formerly known as the Indians, always the Indians in my heart. 1-0 there in the third inning here. The Mad Turtle is anxiously awaiting the showdown between the San Diego Padres, and that's his team, and he's pulling for them. They'll take on the Cubs in Wrigley Field, and then, Goon, I'm rooting like crazy for the Red Sox. I want the New York teams out. Mets are already out. The Yankees, of course, can advance with a win here tonight. I am, although I'm not a huge Red Sox fan, I am pulling like crazy for Boston tonight.
Yeah, I'm watching. I got the baseball game on in the background. I see empty seats in Cleveland. That's embarrassing. That's a disgrace. So, but saw something today, Jeff, made me think. There's no way that's true. It was a picture of Willie Stargell or Dave Parker having a hit in the World Series in 1979. And it said that was the last series that the Pittsburgh Pirates have won.
Yeah.
World Series.
Yep.
Series. And I didn't believe it. And then I sent it to my Pittsburgh guys, and they're like, yeah. Yep.
No, that's
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's painful,
thanks for letting the show end on a high note for me.
Yeah, that's what you got. But then I asked about the McCutcheon thing, and that was a 1-game playoff. What I wanted to say is, I love these 3-game series wild cards. They're really, really fun. Versus the 1-game goal, I did not like that 1-game thing because I think that the Pirates got screwed on it a couple times. They were really good and they lost a game. Where these 3-game series are the way to go. So kudos to MLB right now with how it's set up. So, but big weekend for our guys. Big weekend. We got hockey on. By the way, the NHL Network is showing Penn State's hockey game tomorrow night at 10:00 because of McKenna. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And then they're just releasing the tickets for the Beaver Stadium game. By the way, they start mid-October. So a lot of good stuff in hockey going on. I know the other sports are starting up soon too. So best time of the year is right now with college football, NFL football. You got Major League Baseball playoffs, and it's even better when your team's involved, Jeff.
Yeah,
I know it's been a while.
I hear that. I've heard that from several folks.
A couple people would tell you that. That's for sure.
Yeah, Nick checking in. Iowa is the biggest game of the year, a team that is traditionally tough at home and always gets up for Penn State. Loss there puts way too much pressure on the Ohio State game. But to Denny's point earlier, they have to take care of business. Right now, UCLA, to go to James Franklin's want to know, UCLA is the biggest game of the year because they've got to get some things figured out. Obviously, need to get the win these next couple of weeks, but also need to get some things figured out personnel-wise, defensively now. I guess personnel, schematic, the whole thing offensively to feel like you can roll into that Iowa game, having regained your footing, maybe regained your bearings a bit, and still feel like you could be on track here to compete for a national title when the end of the season rolls around. Do you guys think Aller not being a captain is a problem for lack of leadership? I will say I was surprised, Goon, when he wasn't, and when neither Allen. I'm not necessarily don't want to read too much into that, but if you remember when Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen first stepped on to campus, James Franklin talked about how they kind of brought a new leadership quality to them, and the fact that none of those three, I was surprised. I will say that none of those three were named captains. I don't necessarily know that it's an indictment on any of those three or a lack of leadership on the team, but yeah, I would tell you that I was surprised that none of them.
I can agree with you on that one, but I think that we have had the Nick Dawkins and the Dom DeLucas are multiple-year captains.
Yep.
I think that came into play in that situation where it was just like, all right, we did all right with these guys last year. They're already our leaders right now. We'll stay with them. But, it's surprising. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really the first time I really even thought about it, to be honest with you, is, neither of those three are. I did watch the overtime the other day. They had their long snapper out as the captain. So
yeah.
Just go on out there and talk to the referee. That's what they told him. So that's what the snappers.
Yeah. If they had won that game, maybe we're talking about, well, they have such great leadership across that even these three guys that are clearly leaders aren't captains. I mean, you can play that game probably all day long. Real quick, and we'll get into this more next weekend because we do have to wrap things up here. But that weekend, going back to the hockey, so the
wrestling
availability of tickets are now, you can go to the Penn State website. I'm not going to go through it now, but tickets are being made available, and I think they will end up having a sellout crowd for that thing, which is going to be spectacular. January 31st, Saturday, January 31st, Beaver Stadium, Penn State, Michigan State. I still have not set the time for that game yet, but and there will be a women's game preceding it with Penn State and Robert Morris. And that weekend, also, you'll have the Penn State-Nebraska duel at the Bryce Jordan Center on Friday night. Penn State hockey, by the way, play Michigan State in Pagola on Friday night as well. And you'll also have the Penn State men's basketball team on Sunday taking on Minnesota. So no question that'll be the marquee weekend of the winter sports schedule for Penn State. So if you're thinking from out of town of coming in for that weekend and you haven't made your hotel reservations yet, you may want to get on the horn like now and try to get that accomplished.
My theory is that they're going to play the game Friday night versus Sparty at Pagola. They can't play it after an early afternoon game Saturday. It's going to be post 5 o'clock game, I believe. I really, really do. I mean, I think we're pretty much guaranteed into that.
Yeah. That is going to wrap things up for today, and we will be back on Tuesday and hopefully be breaking down a rousing victory over UCLA. Until then, enjoy the football, be good, and be safe.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again,
The Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox.